In this video, we're going to talk about sorting. We're going to be talking about sorting our results, put them in the order that we want. First, talk about the order by clause. So we're learning a new clause here, and it's the order by clause. So order by lets us pick the order we want to display our results in. So the default sort order is ascending. So if we tell it to order by a certain column or a certain result, it's always going to sort it in ascending order. And what does that mean? For number values, that means they're displayed lowest to highest. Okay. For date values, that means they're displayed with the earliest value first. For character values, anything with words, we display them in alphabetical order. Okay. Null values are displayed last in ascending order and first in descending order. And these other ones, nulls first or nulls last, are a way to override this. We may or may not talk about that in today's video. We may save that for later. But by default, null values are displayed last when you're going in ascending order. So if you order by a column that has a null in it, anything with null will be displayed last. If you're displaying something in descending order, the nulls will come first, and we should be able to see some examples of that coming up. So the order by clause, how do we use it? Let's do a select. We'll get the last name and the first name. No, let's not use first name. Let's do last name, and we'll do hire date. We're going to go from the employees table again. And when we run this, it gives us the person's last name and the date they were hired. Now let's do an order by. So the important things to know about order by. Order by has to be the last clause in a query. We're going to learn about a lot more clauses that we can add on to do different things in our queries. Order by is always the last one. Order by, let's do it by hire date. So you can see when I ran this, all these people, Kings first, Kochar, Dahan, Hunold, 87, 89, 93, back to 90, 91, 99. They're in no specific order. They're not in alphabetical order, and they're not in order by date. We're going to order them by date. So I hit execute, and 87, 87, 89, 90, 91, 93. Now they're going up in order from the earliest date, because remember, dates were sorted by the earliest to the greatest by default. Now, it shows, so we can see who's been at our company the longest. Stephen King, these are all authors, remember. He's the CEO. He's in charge of the company. Maybe it's his company, I don't know. But he's been there the longest, and Zlotkey's only been there for 20 years now. This is a pretty old database. Nobody's been hired since 2000. I find that hard to believe. So this example database is kind of old. What if we wanted to see the newest people first and the oldest people last? Well, all we have to do is add the keyword DESC for descending. And that will flip the order of the hire date. So now we see 2000s first, working our way back to 1987. So there is also an ascending, ASC, that does what we did the first time, right? But if I don't specify ascending, it automatically does ascending. So you don't see ascending in the queries as much as you might think. If people say order by and they don't specify it, it's automatically ascending. So most of the time people leave it out. But if you want to be very specific, you can. They'll put it in. All right. So let's look at, let's do this. Let's change the hire date to a friendlier. Let's call it date started. Now I have date started up here. I made a column alias, right? It is possible to use that column alias in our order by clause. So I could put date started in my order by clause. And it would work the same as when I use the real column name hire date. Okay. So it is possible to use your column aliases in the order by clause. Sometimes that can make your code, especially if you're renaming a column that maybe had a long formula or expression in it, and you're renaming it with something nicer. Ordering by that long expression would, again, complicate your code. So a lot of times the alias is a better way to do it. Let's do another query, another example. Let's get the employee ID. We'll get in the first name. From the employees table. Add a where clause in here, where the employee ID is less than 105. Employee correctly. And then we'll tell it to order by last name. And there's a couple things I want to point out here. So let's go ahead and run this. There we go. We got Lex, Bruce, Alexander, Stephen, and Nina. We had a where clause. We had a select, a from, a where, and an order by. Remember, I said order by had to be last. I cannot put. Later on, we'll see there's clauses where we can change the order. But I get an error here. Order by has to be last. And I also ordered by. That was my dog, and somebody knocked on a door upstairs or something. Sorry about that. Order by the last name, even though I didn't include the last name in here, it still ordered the list in the correct order, sorted alphabetically by last name. I can put the last name in here if you want to say it to prove it. But your order by clause, so if we want to order by departments or order by whatever we want to order by, we don't necessarily have to use it when we pick our columns. So you can see these go in alphabetical. Let's do some more examples. What am I doing in this one? Select the department ID and the last name from the employees table. Where the department ID is less than or equal to 50. And then I'm saying order by the department ID and then the last name. So I can sort by more than one column. It will sort by this first and that second. So within department 20, it put them in order. So my departments are in order, ascending order. But within my departments, you can see that the individual last names, Davies, Matos, Morgos, Ross, and Vargas, they got sorted in ascending order as well. So first by department ID, then by the last name within that department. What about if I did this? All right. The descending, does it apply to the last name or first name or both? Run it and find out. And here you can see the department IDs are going in descending order, 50 down to 10. But within department 50, the last names are still being sorted in ascending order. And remember, we can specify for each column whether we want it descending or ascending. So if I wanted last names to be descending as well, I can put that there. Oops, I had something highlighted. There we go. Now last names, and we can keep this column ascending if we want. So you put the descending or ascending keyword with the column name in the order you want it to go. All right, that's it. We're doing a light week this week, so there's only 2 videos. Homework, week 3 lab work in the folder, 7 vocabulary, 7 queries that you're being asked to write. Oop, and there's a little typo. 7 queries you're going to write, and a list of general questions, number 1 through 7, that you just answer with A, B, C, or D, or do what they tell you to do, whatever it tells you here. Circle the correct answer, whatever. You're not going to circle it. You're going to put it in your text file and send it to me. All right, and that's it for this week.